Hey, it's Charlie. Welcome back to Conquering Kerbal Space Program. I have got a little bit of money left. I'm actually going to upgrade this runway because I want to. I'm just kind of sick of going off to the grass. I don't want to do that anymore. I've been flying around and doing a whole bunch of like these little contracts and stuff. Let's take a look at what we got available. Right now, the only thing I have active is I need to get temperature in flight below something over for these zones, and I need to get atmospheric surveys on the surface of these zones. And I'm not sure where they are, but I'm pretty sure they're all close, just judging by where they look like they are in the tracking station. They look like they're really close by. It might even be like just over there or something. So let's go ahead and do those. And while we're doing that, I'll go ahead and explain what's changed. I'd love to get Bill some experience, but unfortunately I just can't. So let's get the first plane. We'll go ahead and launch the first plane. Okay, on the runway. Finally, a decent runway we can take off from that's flat and doesn't make us go all over the place like idiots. This is the plane that I've been flying with this playthrough here to do these contracts, and there's been so many of them, guys. They bombarded me with a ton of them, and they're all not a whole lot of them are that far away. They're not usually this close though. Wow, that's really close. Okay, where are the other ones? I don't even need to take off for those, so maybe I'll just like drive over there and do it. I think what I'll do is I'll just do this, and then I'll record over. I'll just give you a voiceover while I do this, because I don't want to like waste your time and try to like stutter through my explanations and what I want to walk through. So this is pretty rare, but since I'm editing this video, I know that I can do it also. So here's me from the future. That sounds weird. Here's me from the future explaining everything I'd like to explain this episode. Hi, yeah, it's me. So I wanted to take this opportunity and there's a little bit of a moment here to just sort of go over the past and sort of what's happened up until this point to kind of catch you up, and also talk a little bit about the philosophy that we're going to sort of employ going forward. I'm looking for realism. I'm looking for a more realistic playthrough that both challenges me and enlightens me, and sort of keeps this passion and fire going for this series, because I really, really am looking forward to every single episode. I'm hoping that there are some people that are as well. What happened in episode 10, you can watch episode 10 if you want to know the details as far as what's happened up until this point and our save files being corrupted, and sort of a explanation on that. What happened with our save is this, and you can avoid this for yourself in the future if you just simply follow this rule, which I'm going to be following now. If you add a mod to Kerbal Space Program, do not delete it. Keep it. You can back up your saves before you put the mod in, but do not delete the mod and then expect to keep going if you have contract configurator and custom contract packs installed. That's the thing. If you're not playing in career mode, go ahead and do that. That's fine. I don't think there's anything that's going to stop or anything that's going to get in the way there. But the reason why my files were corrupted and the reason why my save files didn't work very well has to do with contracts. It's specific to career mode, because that's where contracts come from. And how this essentially happened is when you have a parts pack installed, or you have a mod that adds new elements to the game that are going to be looked at for contracts, the contracts are going to kind of preload those into the pool of contracts that might spawn. And what happens is, if those contracts are put into the pool, they don't get taken out. And so if you have parts before that are in there, and all of a sudden those parts do not exist, and the contract comes up for that part, the game locks up, and it's like, oh god, I don't know what to do. And you end up with essentially a KSC that you cannot interact with. You can't go in the tracking station, you can't go in the VAB, you cannot go in the spaceplane hangar, you cannot click the launch pad or the runway to launch a craft that exists because the object doesn't exist. You cannot go into the you also cannot go into mission control, the astronaut complex, the administration building, or research and development, and then leave. You can enter them and you can look at them and everything will appear up to date in them, but you can't leave once you're in. And the only way to stop this, the only way to get out of the game, is to go through, go to the task manager and kill the program manually. And that's a real big pain in the ass. So what I'm employing in this episode, and from this episode on, is that if I add a mod to this game, it's never going to be deleted. And we're going to back up our save file. I'm going to be backing up my save file before any mod is ever added, just in case there's problems with it later and I have to revert back. I will actually be able to revert back because I'll have to go back to a previous save. So that's sort of how I'm going to do it. We'll see how stable that thing goes. This plane, by the way, that you've been watching is actually a really stable little aircraft. Ferrum Aerospace Research has been installed. It's been installed the entire time, which is different from before. And as a result, I find myself wanting to fly a lot more. It's not so much a bore as it was before. Now it's a real challenge. It's a legitimate thing that feels good because you have to design a plane that can actually fly now. It's not just, oh yeah, you have enough wings so you can fly. These aerodynamics are a challenge, and it's a delight to be able to conquer them. You may remember the plane that we had before, episode 5, when we flew in the dark. Sorry about that. And a lot of the other little episodes where there was planes. This is a different plane. It's completely redesigned from the ground up. I didn't even try to fix the other one. Mostly because I didn't have access to it. My save file was corrupted. But the same design philosophy I did not try to employ here because it just didn't work. So this is a brand new plane, and it works really well, and it's very stable. And it basically takes off all by itself. You don't even really have to lift up on it all that much. The only downside is it's a little hard to land this plane because it wants to lift up. But it does give me a lot of good control. And the only downside I have, the only complaints I have, are regarding the landing gear, the wheels specifically. Wheels in Kerbal Space Program 1.1.2 are awful. It is just absolutely terrible. It's like you're on ice all the time. I just hate it. There's barely any friction to it. And that also makes it hard to brake too, because it's like you're on ice. So you're gonna see me flipping around. You've probably already seen it a couple of times, being rotated all around. That's a bug. It's not a feature. The wheels that you have, I kind of understand why the wheels are the way they are, only because of my extremely limited knowledge in Unity and their sort of upgrade to the new Unity system and the redoing of the physics that they did. I can sort of understand why they are the way they are, but they need fixed. So I really hope Squad comes back from their vacation and fixes these wheels. Which brings me to the future. Here's my whole philosophy in this. The Kerbals that are in my playthrough right now, all of my actual people, have not been to space. Not even suborbital trajectory. I have yet to put them any higher than this plane can fly. And the reason behind that is I am trying for realism, and I am trying for like a little internal story, if you will. Jebediah and Valentina have been hard at work in the simulator, attempting all sorts of scenarios for them during their space flights that are going to be up in the future. Bill is eager to test his new designs and to make sure that they are ready for the harsh conditions of space. And Bob is getting furious that he has yet to get his hands on a moon rock. So the staff is getting anxious. I understand we will be conquering space with manned missions, but not just yet, because it takes money, it takes more power, it takes more energy, it takes I have to find life support systems for them, and there's all sorts of things that need to go through. So I feel like realistically nobody would send people to a place before they've had a chance to explore it with a remote probe. With Mars, for example, we've sent dozens of things at Mars. Some of them have missed, some of them have ran into the planet and rammed it. We have several satellites orbiting Mars, taking pictures. And you'll notice that my plane also doesn't have a ladder. The only way to get into the plane is actually just to jump and try to catch onto the door and then board. That's the only way I can get in. Anyway, so I feel like we should do unmanned before manned realistically throughout the whole playthrough. So we're not going to send Kerbals to any location that we haven't already visited remotely. I think that makes sense. And we also want satellite coverage of the places we send them to. So in this episode, which is, I'm about to stop talking, I swear. In this episode, we are going to be setting up our first satellite and actually getting our satellite network started. So if you've watched up to this point, awesome. Keep watching now because we're about to get this thing started. And getting satellites set up is really fun, as you will soon see. So I guess with that, I'm done. I will turn you over to the old me. I don't mean to copy Scott Manley, but that's just kind of the way it happened this time. So anyway, here you go. Thanks. So, like I said, welcome back. This is the current me, at least the one that's, recording in real time. I got 19 science from that. Cool, a little thing there. So let's go through some of the things that changed visually, since I kind of told you about them already. So we're here in the tech tree. As you can see, we don't have Fog of Tech anymore. Whatever, it's cool. So I've got 141 science now, and advanced construction is available, which is kind of cool, but I don't think I need it just yet. We're going to be setting up a satellite network. So what will help us in satellite networks? Well, I'm thinking advanced electrics will probably help us with that. Let's take a look at what we have. 1x3, 1x5 is good. I think I already have 1x5 solar panels though. I do. I have the ones that can't retract, and that is okay. I don't need them to retract. So I kind of already have everything I need for that. What I could try to unlock is just save the science and unlock this command pod, because this command pod holds 4 Kerbals. And this is sort of what I want to do to get people. I have yet to do a manned mission to space this whole time. I haven't done a manned mission to space. So I'm thinking that I'd like to. And yeah. So I could save that and just do do some surface samples. I just went ahead and opened up the Research and Development Center. I upgraded it. That enables us to do surface samples now, which you kind of saw me do a couple of times while I was talking about the other stuff. So yeah, I have almost every facility upgraded at least once. Almost. Administration has not been upgraded. And honestly, the spaceplane hangar also has not been upgraded yet. I just haven't had a need to do it. That little 30 plane parts has done everything I need. So that was a pretty good assortment of money there. I would like to do mission control and get that upgraded, but I don't have the money to do it. Here's the thing though. So mission control, I only have one of these, and this is actually in flight below. It's the one that's on the other side of the planet. I'll do it later. Anyway, these are the contracts that are available to us, and you'll notice we have a whole bunch of like unmanned mission type contracts, right? RemoteTech, point a dish out from Kerbin. That's pretty easy. We'll do that in our satellites actually. Then it says create a communications network for Kerbin 3 and create a communication network for Kerbin 4. Okay. So we can either do we can either do a network that's 4 satellites, which is much, much easier, but it's more expensive. Well, I really don't know if it's easier, actually, to be honest with you, because you still have to align an orbit with an extra satellite. It will, however, pay us more. So an extra satellite, if we do the 4, it's going to give us 360,000 for completion and a 120 advance. If we do the 3, it gives us a 90 advance and a 270,000 completion. I still think because of the cost of launching them overall, it's not necessarily worth the time to get the extra money for the extra satellites. We have other things we can do. We want to go to other places. So I'm going to accept the 3. You can't accept them both. Make sure to only accept either the 3 or 4 satellite. It's impossible to do both. So I'm going to accept the 3 because I'd rather do 3 than 4. So we'll put that one. Now the 4 goes away because I've already accepted 3, so 4 goes away. Then we have RemoteTech, point a dish out from Kerbin. Well, in the process of doing our satellites, we're going to do that one, so we'll grab that one too. It says do a low resolution scan of the moon and do an altimetry scan of Kerbin. We'll definitely have this scan. We're definitely going to be doing this scan. So I'm going to go ahead and just accept that one. We're not going to do that in this episode. It'll probably be a couple episodes before we do that, but that's what we're going to do. What else we have? Temperature above, in flight above, testing the Sepratron nose cone, and a suborbital trajectory of Minmus. Wow, look at the payoff on that though. I may do that one later. It's gonna expire in a day. We'll see about that. That seems pretty easy. I'm gonna grab it. Talk myself into it. Take seismic readings on the surface of these sites. Interesting. I'll grab that because it's probably easy to do. I say that hoping that it's not the other side of the planet, but whatever. And then finally, we have a low resolution scan of the moon, which I think the same satellite that does Kerbin is going to do the moon too. So we'll grab that satellite. We'll grab that contract. We have a ton of satellite-based contracts now. It's going to be fun. Let's see what it takes to put something up into space. All right, I want to talk about remote communications real quick. I want to talk about our satellite network and sort of give you an idea of what we're going to be going for here. This is Kerbin, and try to ignore all these little things. They're just contract markers that I just accepted. So yeah, I hope it's close. Yeah, it is very close. So in order to get a communications network up, we need three factors. There's three things we have to consider. The first is that at any given moment, there always has to be an active connection to the Kerbal Space Center. So at all points, always, something needs to be connected to this. Okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is, at all times, all satellites must be powered on and working and be able to see each other. So the satellites need to be able to see each other. This is actually, I just combined 2 and 3, but I kind of have 4 now. So I just sort of added one. Anyway, we'll say there's 4 things. The second thing is they need to be powered on at all times. So we'll need to have adequate battery resources, and adequate solar power, solar energy, so that the solar panels can recharge the batteries. But the batteries need to be able to last so that the satellite stays powered on the entire time it is in the dark part of the planet from the sun. Okay, so that's it. The battery life needs to be able to last the whole dark time. And depending on how far out our satellites are, it's going to influence how long the satellite's in the dark. Generally speaking, more than generally speaking, actually speaking, the further away it is, the longer the dark time. Okay, because it's traveling slower relative to the planet. It's a faster speed, but the orbital period is longer. It takes longer to get around the planet when you're wide out, so it will take longer in the dark time as well. And finally, the third thing, which I guess I'm amend it to 4 things now. The third thing is all satellites need to be able to always see each other at all times. So to do that, we need to, for 3 satellites anyway, we're going to do a triangle. We're going to have sort of a triangle pattern like this, to where the satellites always see each other. They're going to be rotating around, and the triangle is going to be rotating with it, but they'll always have a connection to each other. And the reason that's important is because as long as they can always see each other, they can always see the KSC, because one of them at any given moment is going to be over here, and it's going to have a direct connection here. As this one moves away and it no longer has a connection, the other one gets the connection. Okay? So they're always going to be connected to the KSC, always connected to each other, and they always have enough battery life to stay on all the time. So here's the 4th thing, and I add it because I think it's still pretty damn important. These satellites, not only do they need to be able to communicate with each other, but they also need to be able to communicate outside of Kerbin's influence, or at least to the moons, at least. And that's what these ones that we're going to launch are. They're going to be ones that cover the moons. And so we need to have 3 directional dishes on our satellites. One is going to cover the moon. It's going to always point at the moon. Anything that's over at the moon, it's going to support it. One is going to point at Minmus all the time. Okay, where's Minmus? There it is. One is going to point at Minmus all the time. Sometimes these 2 things are going to overlap, and one that's covering Minmus will also have coverage of moon, just because of the way the way it works. But at all times, one will be pointed at Minmus, one will be pointed at the moon, and that is on all 3 satellites. The third dish that's on here, the third directional dish, that one is going to point at the active vessel. It's going to point at the vessel that we are currently using, so that at any given moment, all of these satellites are looking for whatever vessel we are using currently, and they're connecting to it. That's what we want. Now, the reason that's important is because let's say we're on our way to Minmus. You'd think that the one covering Minmus would cover us. And while that's generally true once we reach our destination, it's not true necessarily on the way to the destination, because as you saw in previous episodes, I forget which one it was, we took a probe and sent it to Minmus, which obviously isn't a thing anymore because we had to restart episode 10 again, if you haven't seen it yet. But when we did that, we started our burn over here, and we wrapped ourselves around to where we eventually met up with Minmus over here. So while we're on our way out this direction, our satellites are pointing that way. We're not going to be getting. Our dishes are pointing this way at Minmus. They're not going to be picking up our vessel over here waiting to meet up with Minmus. So we need a dish always pointing at the active vessel as well. And these satellite dishes and these dishes and these antennas, they take power. So we'll need adequate power and also solar panels that can do it. And we need an adequate distance away from the planet, but we don't want to go too far so that our antennas are out of range because our omnidirectional antennas have a limited range. We don't want to go too far out so that these can't communicate with each other because they're too far away, but we also don't want to go too close because if we go too close, then the horizon of the planet will get in the way of these satellites being able to see each other. And I find a happy medium here, a good solid medium, is between 800 and 900 kilometers out. I like that range. It's flexible. It's not like getting super close to the horizon, just trying to like min-max it. It's not doing that, but it's also fairly comfortable for range. The antennas can handle it, and you can do it with the Communitron 16. So, because the Communitron 16 has a 2.5 million meter range, and if I'm 900 over here, or 900 kilometers off the surface here, and the other one's 900 kilometers off the surface here, at the very most, we're talking 1.8 million meters. Lots of wiggle room in there for that antenna. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, we're in the VAB. We're gonna build ourselves a satellite. So the first thing we're gonna need is a probe, obviously. Now I want to see power consumption. Power consumption is always important, and I want to sort of minimalize it as much as possible. So this probe here takes 1.2 charge per minute. That's the one I want then, because this one takes 1.5, this one takes 1.5, and this one's 1.7. So this one, 1.2 per minute, that's what we're gonna do. Electric charge is our most important commodity in terms of our satellite dishes because probes need power all the time. They don't have Kerbals to control them. Okay, the next thing I need to do is I need sort of a body to structure my stuff around. So I'm going to use I'm gonna use one of these Girder adapters, I think, because it looks kind of cool. This, I think, is part of Ven's stock revamp. It could be another part from another mod, but I think it's... If you don't have all the mods that I do and you're looking for something that's more stock, you can also use just this FL A10 adapter, which I believe is a stock part. It looks different here, obviously, because of the texture revamp, but I believe this is a stock part. It looks about the same. And it's actually more flexible, too, because you can put things all around it. I'm not really concerned about that, but you can be if you'd like. So I'm going to use this Girder adapter here because I think it looks nifty. And I'm going to need power. So let's go to batteries right away. Electrical, and I'm going to use these 1K battery banks. I do have a 4K battery bank, but I don't know how much power I need, to be honest, but we're going to use, let's say, should 4 be enough, or do I want 5? Let's use 5, just to be safe. I'm gonna actually test this with a new mod called Amp Year. This actually does the same thing as Fusebox used to do. I don't know if Fusebox is gonna be a thing, but I can do dark side calculations to see how much power I need to be successful. So here's Kerbin. This is the body I'm gonna be orbiting, and I can choose the enter orbit height. I'm gonna be orbiting at, let's say, 850 kilometers. Okay, so our dark side transit period is 13 minutes and 12 seconds. This is the amount of time that my satellite will spend in the dark at this altitude. So I need to make sure that I have enough power to last all of the things that I'm gonna be doing to last 13 minutes and 12 seconds. So far, more than adequate because I have nothing installed, but it's going to get a lot more crowded in here pretty quick. We're gonna take fuel tanks. I'm gonna take with me I want to keep this as much stock as possible, except for this girder, because I'm not going to take the revamp, I don't think, away ever. So, you know, we're not going to move our mods. We're going to keep the mods exactly the way we are. So we're going to commit to this. We're going to use this girder. I want it bad enough to where I'm going to use it. I'm going to take this simple little T200 fuel tank. Little tiny fuel tank. Don't need a whole lot, just a little bit. Then I'm going to take the Terrier engine and put the Terrier engine underneath like that. Okay. So that is the body of our satellite. I'm kind of thinking now I maybe need it a little bit longer. No, I think we're gonna be fine. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do here, and if we're not fine, I'll just make it a different tank, but whatever. Make it a different gas tank. We're gonna go to Science, and I'm going to grab these Communitron DTS M1. Now mine look way different than yours unless you have the stock revamp 2, the texture revamp 2. I think I want to put it on there. We're gonna do 3-way symmetry on this. I think this kind of looks okay. Let me just start deployed. Let's see what it looks like. Okay. You know, now that I see it, I kind of like it to be completely on the battery. Not sure why it's... Okay, so it's kind of weird how that's doing, but okay. Right on the battery, do I want it? You know, it kind of looks interesting having it kind of raised up like that, though. It kind of works really well with the girder. I'm going to leave it like that. Looks a little weird maybe, but I'm going to leave it like that. And I want these all to start retracted, so we'll bring them down. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Thing's freaking out. Yeah, you're freaking out. Not sure what the interface is up to there. Okay. So those are the 3 antennas that or the 3 dishes that I'm gonna need to have. Now I'm going to want my Communitron 16. So I'm gonna put that right here. And I'm just gonna rotate it a little bit. I wish I could put it inside here, that'd be cool, but unfortunately I can't, so. Up we go, let's have it point like that. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so this is providing the basic functionality for our satellite. And so what we're gonna have here is based on the power drain. Let's do dark side calc. Looks like 211, 2,112 is all that's needed for this dark side. Interesting. We have room for a bigger satellite dish then. So let's get a bigger one. If we have room for it, might as well. I'm going to use, what am I gonna use here? Let's put, that's a big one. That's got way too much range. 90 million, 60 gigameters would be interesting to have. You know, if I put one of these big dishes on the top of every single one of these, wow, that actually looks kind of nifty, you know? If I put this there, that actually works. I'm all right with that. Now this dish can communicate to interplanetary, so we'll have these 3 managing Moon, Minmus, and active vessel. We'll have the other little antenna, which is now going to be obstructed. Now it's going to get in the way of that, so let's put that like... Ooh, I can put it in there. And it looks a little weird there, though. Let's just stick it on the side here. And then we're going to rotate it a little bit because I don't want it to get in the way. Let's just start deployed. Okay, good. Yep. It's not in the way then. Okay, so we'll have this there, and I think this is going to be good. That's going to be fine. Let me start real quick and see which direction this is pointing. It's pointing that way. I kind of want it pointing the other way, but at the same time, the solar panels are going to be down there too. But speaking of solar panels, let's get that. Electrical, I think it's in, is it in MISC? Miscellaneous? I've got the filter reconfigurator here, or filter, I got a mod that messes with these. I want to say that solar panels have their own, yeah, they do right there, okay. So I need these 1x5s, okay? And the 1x5s are gonna go, I think I only need 6 of them. 1x5s are gonna go down here, and they're gonna extend like that. Okay. So, if all of them are extended, then I don't want these dishes like pointing at them, because they, you know, I feel like the signal would get in the way. It's not going to, but I like to make believe that some of this stuff is somewhat realistic here. So let's just retract these really quick. I want to try something different here. Let's take these things here. I definitely don't want that many of them. So go back to three-way symmetry here. And how about we go like this instead? Huh? How about we go like that? What do you think of that? I like it. I think that's a cool alternative. Now they all get to kind of go around. Yeah, I think we're gonna keep that. That's what we're gonna do. So the solar panels are down here. They'll provide power to the batteries, which we don't actually need that many batteries now, so we can get rid of one of these. How much batteries do we need? How many batteries do we need here? We have dark side calcs. We're just going to need 2849. Okay. So with 2849, I can have just 3,000 charge, and it should be good. Yeah, I only need 3 batteries. There's our awesome satellite. So this is what we need to launch into orbit, guys. Okay. So let's get this up. We're gonna raise this up a little bit because it's gonna take a little bit. It's gonna take a little bit to get that up there. Okay. So the next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna check the weight really quick. It's only 3 tons, not a whole lot in the payload here. So let's go ahead and grab a decoupler. Yeah, decoupler here. Okay. Then we're gonna grab a bigger gas tank. Let's use. I've got a lot to play with here. Let's use just the regular old 800 fuel tank. Do I want another one? I think I want another one. I don't want 3 of them. I want just one. Okay. Then we're gonna do an engine. Let's use the Reliant. It's got a little more thrust, so we'll use the Reliant here. Now, technically, I could get to space with what I've got right here, but I want to get into a really high orbit, and so in order to do that, I need some good stuff here. Also, most people would probably put RCS on this. I'm not going to. I'm going to do it completely without RCS. I'm not a fan of RCS, you know? I'm going to use it when we start to dock. Obviously, I'll need it for docking. I guess that's not obvious. You could do it a really, really hard way, but why? But we'll leave it the way it is. I'm just going to leave this the way it is. So we're going to take the winglets here, and I'm going to put 4-way symmetry on these. Let's have them locked to the grid like that. Okay. That'll keep us pointed in the right direction. Now I need this payload also to have a fairing, because going through, especially with Ferrum Aerospace Research, going through the air with a giant concave surface like this is terrible for our aerodynamics. So the debug values, this is sort of like a surface, if you will. Like, look at all that surface that it's gonna hit. We don't want that. We don't want that. I think that's how you do it. I don't know. It's just obvious that's going to be big. So let's take this decoupler, right below this decoupler. We're going to put a fairing base here. Let's do... Oh, where are you? Actually, let's save this first before I get locked out of the VAB for some stupid reason. We're gonna call this I'm just gonna call it Kerbin SOI. That stands for Sphere of Influence, Satellite 1. I don't think... I mean, we're gonna pick better names for these things, but that's what I'm gonna call it for now. So let's get a fairing base. Where are the fairing bases? Here we go, fairing base. So let's get the fairing base out. We're gonna take this out, and we're gonna put the fairing here. And this is from Procedural Fairings. So Procedural Fairings is really nice because you get fairings that are great shapes, and you get them that are just enough to cover your payload without having to worry about the shape of everything. So this is the shape of our fairing. I'm actually gonna give it just a little bit more extra radius here, just a little bit of cushion. There we go. Then we're going to slap some sides onto it. So let's just use this conic fairing here, no big deal. So let's grab this. We're gonna flip these around because they're not facing the right way, and bam. There's our payload. Looks pretty nice. I think it does anyway. So the next thing we have to do is get this thing up into orbit pretty much. This is going to help us with our getting us out. So this stage here's purpose is basically from orbit, or getting us to orbit, and then also getting us up where we need to be, and starting to try and circularize our orbit. I mean, I'm gonna do a lot of that with this top stage, but for now, that's what this purpose is for. So I think what I wanna do here is I wanna put a, let's go with a stack decoupler here, and then we're going to have another, maybe we'll use this big tank here. Yeah, let's use that. Ooh, I like that. It's a nice tank. It's going liquid fuel and oxidizer. Yep, that's what we want. Can I change the... Nice. Look at that. That's cool. Soyuz, Delta. It doesn't really match the rest of our craft, but it's kind of cool. Maybe we'll just leave it like that. Whatever. Now, let's raise this up a bit more. Click the probe. Probe-a-dobe-dine. There we go. So now I'm going to put, should I do another Reliant? Maybe I should do the swivel here because it's a little bit more fuel efficient. Let's put a swivel there. Yep, and then we'll put that, and then put the Reliant under here. Okay, I like that. And then we're gonna take these wings and put them right on the bottom too. So I've got two sets of wings. We'll go over why wings are important, or why winglets and stuff like this, fins, whatever you wanna call them, are important for aerodynamics in a bit. But for now, that's just what I'm gonna put there. So then, now I need to get this up to orbit. Let's put some boosters on it. Let's use, do I have better decouplers? It doesn't look like I do, so we're gonna use, we're just gonna use these. And I'm gonna put them kind of in the middle here. This is probably a dumb idea, but we're gonna try it anyway. We're gonna put the engines, let's use, I'm gonna use these ones because I like these ones a lot. Okay, so these SRBs are gonna help us get up there. Now I'm wondering, should I move them down a bit? I think I will, just a little. Let's check the center of mass. Okay, center of mass is there. I actually do need this up just a little bit more then. About there would be good. Okay. Center of mass is actually going to drain these. It's going to move it up, which is what I want it to do. Okay. So, no, I think I want these lower. I think the center of mass needs to be just a little bit better managed here. I don't want this to fly all over the place later on. I can't quite click that decoupler. There we go. There, got it. Okay, we're gonna need to move it then. Okay guys, this is our satellite then under the payload. You saw me kind of fiddling around with it a little bit. I decided to just skip ahead. It's getting a little long, but the engineering behind this vessel is pretty okay. The center of mass is a little low right now, but once these boosters are off, it'll shift itself up and it'll be good. It is a little long. It's gonna be hard to control it for a while, so I think what I wanna do is right underneath this fuel tank, I wanna put a big battery. Or not a battery, I wanna put a inline stabilizer. And that is going to help me control this later on. So $32,340 is what each satellite will cost to launch, okay? So this is actually not staged properly now. Why isn't that staged properly? Get over there. Okay, save. And let's launch it. Oh, before we do that though, I'm gonna need something rogue over here. I'm gonna need one of these Reflectron DP10s so I can control the dang thing while it's up in its air. Okay, so for Delta V, we got loads of it. It's probably way over engineered and I probably won't need to, probably not a whole lot I need to do. Actually, these boosters don't need to be this strong. So let's actually bring them down to about, let's bring them down to about 63% thrust. Let's try that. Okay, let's launch.